Joined now with Town Manager Scott Weden. Scott, thank you for joining us here on This Week in Plymouth.
Thank you for having me.
Downtown drainage project, downtown construction. It's been the talk for the last few years. Most recently, obviously, with this construction actually taking place last summer and now starting back up again this spring. Tell us what has been done so far since the crews have come back here in 2024.
So the crews came back in the end of April 28th. And what the direction was at that time was to make sure that we were creating a bypass for the main street. So the first work that was completed was reclaiming Warren Street and Russell Street and putting a binder coat of pavement down so that when they moved onto South Main Street, if someone didn't need to go on South Main Street, they'd be able to take Russell Street, Warren Street out to Route 3 and head south. So that was the first course of work that was done. The second piece that we started working on was boxing out the main street. When I say boxing out the main street in South Main Street, what that means is removing the asphalt, the soil, and maybe most people don't know, there was a layer of concrete under the main street. So that started right after the completion of Warren Street and Russell Street.
Looking ahead now, what's going on with construction? I know there's been a lot of confusion and talk on social media about, oh, this is finally happening after being dug up on South Main Street. But let's try to clear up some of the confusion. What's happening today with the project?
Today, as you notice, we have completed the box out of Main Street. There's a binder coat of pavement on Main Street. We did label 2 crosswalks down on South Main Street. So the next part of the project moving forward over the next 2 to 3 weeks is the sidewalks on South Main Street. So currently they're working on the west side sidewalks on South Main Street from Warren Street up to Highland Street. This week what will take place is the granite curbing, high profile curbing, will go in from Warren Street up to Highland Street. Next week the hope is those sidewalks will be paved, the parking meters will be put back in. After that happens, the east side of Main Street, side of the Flying Monkey Theater, those sidewalks will be done in the same sequence as we did on the west side of Main Street. So that could take 2 to 3 weeks to get that done. The next part of the project that will occur is the stretch of Main Street from Highland Street down to the Rotary. And people may have thought that that was going to occur first. Unfortunately, Plymouth Village Water and Sewer ran into some issues with the New Hampshire Department of Transportation, and those have now been figured out and the approval has been given. So once South Main Street is completely finished, they'll move from Highland Street down to the roundabout in the same process as was used on South Main Street.
Kind of throwing a little curveball. A lot of discussion at the beginning of the project and throughout the project was the width of South Main Street. Has that been addressed, or is that being changed to help alleviate any of the congestion on South Main Street?
It is. You'll notice in the area of the Panther Pub or the new Midstate building that the sidewalk on the east side of Panther Pub has been narrowed a little bit to accommodate the road width. Also, the road was shifted a little bit during the box out and the reconstruction. So it's more of a consistent pathway as you go down Main Street now with less congestion.
Looking ahead, Bike Week's fast approaching. With the now hopefully having boxed out on the rest of Main Street, how is traffic going to be affected? How is that being accommodated for Bike Week and all of the businesses downtown?
There will be no construction that Friday of the start of Bike Week. Everything will have a coat of pavement that is ready for pavement at that time. There will be no gravel roadways down Main Street. So construction will not take place on that Friday going into Bike Week. Obviously no construction on Saturday and Sunday, and they will restart on Monday. At that time, they most likely will still be down on the sidewalks on the east side of Main Street, as I just discussed.
And again, for those who might not know, what are the dates of Bike Week in that weekend that they're looking at stopping on that Friday and then restarting on Monday?
So I think that Friday is the 12th Father's Day being on the 14th, which is typically when Bike Week happens. So that's the dates that it would stop, is on Friday the 12th, and we start up on June 15th.
$1 million question. When is the paving and the project looking to be completed by? I know originally it was around May if it was everything starting on time with a thaw, and then obviously there's been delays. But what's the target right now for the completion of the project?
I think being realistic and taking that approach and making sure that the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, I would say the end of September, 1st of October. I think one other piece that's important is when they're working from Highland Street down to the roundabout and going around the common, is we all know that's a very busy area, especially, that doesn't matter when, whether it's during the week or on the weekends, is what we will attempt to do is that section around the common down to maybe beyond the diner, beyond Court Street. Once that's boxed out, ready for pavement, that pavement will take place during the night so that when people get up in the morning, they come downtown, they go to the coffee shop, they go to the businesses, that will all be paved and ready to be parked on.
A lot of other things happening around town besides just construction. Give us a quick insight of some of the major projects that have started or are on the horizon around town.
I think a big one is the solar array project out on Quincy Road. You'll notice if you drive out by the airport or out to Longview Farms, you'll notice that all the fencing is up. All of the racking has been delivered. We're in hopes that this week the racking will be started and some of the mounting of the solar array will take place. Other than that, those two are the big projects. We are continuing to work on Highland Street. That construction will take place next summer during 2025. So we're working with New Hampshire Department of Transportation to nail down those dates and the funding for that project as well. I think some of the bigger news is that we've applied for 3 different grants. We've applied for a $500,000 infrastructure grant. We've applied for a $300,000 Loon Lake Road culvert grant, which we've been told has been approved. It's a matter of finalizing that with Department of Environmental Services. And we've applied for a grant which is looking really good on 35% funding for the new highway truck that was approved at town meeting back in March.
That's fantastic. Again, you've been so great since taking over as town manager of being out to the public. We've always spoke about the transparency and having the information out there for the public. If people are new to town or haven't heard, how can people get more information? How can they contact you directly if they have any questions about what's going on?
I am always open for people to stop into Town Hall. I certainly will make time for you, whether you want to send me an email at townmanager@plymouthnh.gov, or you can call me at 536-1731, extension 112. I will assure you I will return your call that same day as long as I'm in the office and not on vacation. But I truly believe in transparency, honesty, and open communication. And I urge you, if you have questions, concerns, or comments, please do reach out to us and let us have a conversation with you about those concerns.
And also feel free to attend any of the board meetings, the public sessions. Have your voice be heard as well. Scott, thank you so much for your time and joining us here today.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more here on This Week in Plymouth.